Hello, beautiful soul. It is David Ault. And once again, I'm so grateful to have you join me here for the gathering. In a little more than a month and a half, my husband and I have the good fortune to be able to go into a 30-day immersive Buddhist retreat. And leading up to that is some prerequisite work that we're both doing. And he's doing it on his schedule, and I'm doing it on mine. And sometimes when opportunity syncs itself up, we discuss, what did you understand? What did you get? And what was really fun the other day is something that the Lama said caught both of our attentions equally. And we came together to talk about that. And what that was, and what I want to share with you is a student was asking him something, and he said back to the student, "What hat are you wearing as you ask that question?" And the meaning behind that was, what place of understanding or where are you standing on this, supposed path of self-awareness? Because it's a great, great thing to pause when we go to dialogue with another being, because if there is an absence of, and this isn't a good or bad thing, but if there is an absence of or a non-exposure to non-dualism or not just the concept of oneness, but the reality of oneness, the principle of this idea of interconnectedness and wholeness, the quantum understanding that everything is a part of one, everything is a part of the whole, that there is nothing separate. One cannot give an answer to a question to someone who is non-aware of that in the same way that one would give an answer to someone who is. So his question to this student was, "What hat are you wearing? What reference point are you asking me that question?" Because that's going to be indicative of the way in which I respond to you. And we both were like, "Did you hear that? That was really good." Not that we're not already aware in some way of that, but that just the kind of flat out announcing this idea of you can't answer or respond to every single person in the same way, dependent upon their worldview, their perceptions. And um, and so it gives great opportunity, if you will, for any of us who are in a position where we share philosophy, share ideologies and experiences, to kind of begin to understand what hat is the person wearing. And to me, as I was thinking more and more and more about that encounter, it was, where is the person standing in their evolutionary path? And to be aware of the fact that there's no better than in terms of where one stands. There's no right or wrong in terms of where one stands. But it does require and offer the opportunity to pause with regards to the way in which we dialogue. And so if someone's going to come and ask a question or dialogue about the state of the world, let's say, and there is an awareness that there is no real, tangible immersion in non-dualism. The I'm going to call it the the ancient principle that all spiritual paths, all religions are birthed from, and that is that there is a creator, that there is a oneness, and that this oneness is known and described by so many different ways. And to me, the description that I align most with currently, where I am on my path, is that it is so indefinable, beyond concept, beyond language, beyond anything that I've ever been taught, that I'm nowhere I'm nowhere near, nor will I ever be in understanding the totality of what that is. That leaves me in a state of awe. That leaves me in a state of perpetual wonder and fascination, and dare I say, even enthusiasm with regards to what this human experience or this human life affords me. How beautiful it is for me to understand that I'm nowhere near um, peeling away, uh, going deeper in the realization and the recognition by which this allness collaborates with me. I will never be an authority. I will always be that person who has the opportunity, if I am willing, to keep leaning into it and leaning into it and leaning into it. So when someone might ask a question about this particular journey or the journey of oneness, if that's a foreign concept to them, then my answer in all compassionate integrity is going to be one that tries to meet them where they are rather than trying to shove some absolutism down their throat when I can pretty much tell that that's not gonna, and I, again, I don't mean this condescendingly. It's just that there's something artful, I think. There is something compassionate about trying to get in there and to explore and a dialogue with anyone who's genuinely asking the question. There are those people who aren't asking questions. They're just shouting at the wind, of which I have the opportunity to not participate or shout back. And so, what hat are you wearing, or where do you stand on the line when you ask a particular question, is a really beautiful pause. It is a really exquisite spiritual practice when you have a feeling of fear, when you have a feeling of limitation, when you have a feeling that is so caught up in the current state of affairs, economically, governmentally, relationship wise, what's going to happen to me, everything that I've built and depended upon seems to be dissolving and wiping out in front of me. And everybody is joining in the chorus of that. If I can stop and I can pause and I can say, what hat am I wearing or where am I standing in this feeling? And if I can remember that where I'm standing is this place that is in awe of the infinite, then I don't have to own that thought. I don't have to languish in that thought. I can recognize it and let it continue to go. And if you're asking me or anyone is asking me a question about anything rooted in personal survival or what is the seemingly real fear that you are fearing, I have to assess. You get to stop and assess, where am I standing when I feel this, and ask this question. And so not only is it something that I try to incorporate in the teaching, sharing world that I get so beautifully the luxury to participate in, but to also then, every time that I do that, to turn it on myself. To turn it on myself. And here's the other beautiful part that's so infinite about this exercise is when I want to pipe in, when I want to chime in, when I want to do this video, when I want to do anything. If I stop and I pause and I go, what hat are you wearing, David, before you make this video? Are you making this video from the hat of any kind of superiority? Are you making this hat? Are you making this video by wearing the hat or standing at this point of the path where you fancy yourself as some expert? And those are great things if I'm engaged in social media exchange. If I stop and I go, what hat are you wearing when you're about to make this response? What place on the path are you standing if you're about to make this video where you might be chastising someone, lambasting someone, trying to make a point, trying to make your algorithm grow. And all of a sudden, in doing this and incorporating this for myself, my need to respond has shrunk dramatically. I don't need to respond. I don't need to broadcast any kind of superiority. I don't need to qualify or pretend to be an expert. All that I know is that when love is there and the desire to share that love, when the desire is there to help collectively free ourselves from any kind of forgetfulness or suffering is there, as long as that's the hat that I'm wearing, then I feel like I'm in my right and perfect place, or I'm on purpose. And I invite others to come along with me. But just like you, just like I'm encouraging you to stop and pause and to say, where am I asking this question? Where is this feeling come from? What hat am I wearing as I'm going through all of this? Is this the hat that I really want to try to spend a lot of time wearing and asking and pleading and bargaining? Or do I want to take that hat off and continue to move and to navigate and to grow into the expansion that says that even in the most abhorrent appearance, that which is the infallible, that which is the indefatigable, that which is wholeness in and of itself cannot be denied. It reminds me so much of one of the sweet, beautiful gifts that the spiritual teacher Ram Dass gave my husband in the last year of his life. It was the gift of knowledge. And in that final year, his ability to speak had greatly diminished from the 20-year journey that he had already navigated from a stroke. And so you kind of knew that when words did come out, that there was the hat that he was wearing when he shared those words was one of just absolute loving awareness. And he said to my husband, he said, beware the ego masked as spirit, masquerading as spirit. Beware the ego masquerading as spirit. And I remember, gosh, it's been 5 years ago when my husband first told me that. And that has languished in my mind. And that has fed me as a part of the ripple effect of the gift that Ram Dass gave him. Because I realized that oftentimes, if I'm conscious enough to stop and go, what hat are you wearing, David? Is it the ego masquerading as spirit? It has helped me to humble me and to see that sometimes um, I, like all of us do, get very, very caught up in a sort of identity preservation, a concern about things like growth and, financial remuneration and just all this kind of stuff that if I'm really cognizant of that that's where it's coming from, I can pause and I can take that hat off and I can allow myself to beware of the ego masquerading as spirit long enough to compassionately breathe and set that urge or that need or that reaction aside. So, where are you standing when the fear comes up? Where are you standing on the path? And if it's a place that you are standing in that only feeds the fear, then keep going, keep walking, keep navigating, keep moving into into greater fields of awareness that echo from the reminders that are coming to us all the time to fear not. If the hat that you are wearing, if the hat that you are wearing, as you are experiencing these questions and these fears, only perpetuates the fear, then take the hat off. Be willing to take the hat off. Let your crown chakra breathe before you put another hat on. And just again, continue on your way to remembering. Understand that what is happening in our world has cyclically happened time and time again. It's not to dismiss it. It's not to ignore it. It's not even to sweep it away. But it is an invitation to not allow it to become a mainstay, to become anything other than an observation of the game that happens in this field of duality. And do what you can to help others come along with you into greater vistas of recognition and the power and the understanding of the way in which you can and you do create the world that is most prevalent that you experience by the way you view it in here.